Hello, and welcome to another episode of Voices to Dream. I'm your host, Suzanne Mann, also known as the Challenge Girl. Voices to Dream is about interviewing guests from around the world and sharing our stories and our wisdom in the hope that we can all learn from them. Because for me, having conversations, listening to people's stories is truly how we learn and love and become more compassionate people. So through sharing our voices, I also hope that we also are able to dream a bit more, open up our lives to the dreams and hopes of those things around us, stop being scared and realize that it's our dreams that keep us going. I hope you enjoy our guest today. He has a magnificent story, and truly, you will definitely hear how he has made his dreams come true. So enjoy. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, because I guess my biggest hope is that with these podcasts is that more and more people are able to hear them, not so much from me becoming popular, but because I want my guests' stories to be heard. They are all such brilliant people and truly deserve to have a very large audience. So thank you for being with me and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to another episode of Voices to Dream. I'm Suzanne Mann, the Challenge Girl, and I have a beautiful guest with me today. For those of you who are just listening, you're missing out. You need to get on YouTube and have a look, because I have the beautiful Angella Goran with me. Welcome, Angella.
Hi, Susan. So great to be here on Voices to Dream. Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Now, we are going to be talking about a lot of different stuff with Angella. We're going to be talking about how she started out in life, her sports journey, her current passions, and we're going to get into some good, right in time for the new year, some good goal setting. Because I figure once you hear about Angella, you'll understand why I'm asking her that. Now, I always just like to tell everyone how I know my guest. And I have a lot of show and tell here. If you are just listening, I apologize. But I'm showing my beautiful Run for Pompeii half marathon medal, which is the best medal I've ever had, because the swimming, it's with where they have the swimming pigs, and the pig actually swims. And Angella actually did the half marathon. I only did the 10K.
No, it's not about only. You did. You showed up and you did it. So that's it. That's all.
I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you. And in the end, it doesn't matter what you did, because you still get a medal that says half marathon on it.
Big dreams, right? This is Voices to Dream. I'm just going to say, it's perfect. Perfect.
It's about the dreaming. It's about the dreaming. Now, Angella, I don't read a bio or anything, because I figure that my guest is the best person to tell me who they are. Can you tell me a bit about you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I don't want to start at the very beginning. I'm going to keep this short, snappy, so we can just get right into coffee chat here on a fun morning. A little bit about myself. Well, I am Canadian, so you'll probably hear the abouts and the A's come out in this podcast. So for any of my friendly fellow listeners up in the Great White North, as we know it right now, as the snow starts to fall, I grew up on the west coast of Canada in the beautiful, beautiful island of Vancouver Island,
Nice.
where I'm close to Victoria, BC, which is where I also graduated from the University of Victoria in 2004. So for those that want to date me, you can go back to that in the sense of understanding my age, but I have no prawns on that. So I'm 43 years old. I feel very fortunate. I live now in the eastern part, Suzanne, of Canada. For some Canadians, they consider Ontario that part, but I live in the nation's capital city, which is Ottawa, Ontario, Don't ask me why. We can get into that though. And because that's a story on its own, but we all have journeys. So I guess course of my life started off obviously growing up as a little girl in probably one of the best places, as I would say, in the world. When you think about outdoor activities, the world was my oyster, literally from the ocean to the mountains to the trails. I just grew up being active and playing and having an incredible opportunity through my family to inspire me to be that. So hence why, obviously, as we get into the conversation, sport has been a very large part of my life, whether it's being on 3 different national teams and masters. And of course, I know we're going to get into it, the most recent success behind the elite 1 hour indoor cycling Canadian record that I beat and I won and I took home for my country on August 26th. But then also I'm listed now as the 7th fastest woman in the world. But also, one of those older ones, yeah, which is kind of cool, like unsponsored, did it on my own. But that was the sports side. I grew up with an academic family, all teachers, lots of educators. Shout out to the teachers that are listening and the educators, which you all are if you have a family. So that was a really big part of my life, was academics. So of course I went on to post-secondary, and I thought at a young age I would be a politician, hence why I'm in Ottawa. But I did follow the trails. I was very lucky and fortunate to work for an incredible woman in BC provincial government, the Minister of State for Early Childhood Development, Linda Reid, who was one of my first mentors back in 2000. Oh gosh, we met in 2002. And I just was, blessed to have that job right out of university that so many students, these days are oftentimes trying to find. But it was because of her and some great networks, and networks being something that will, I'll definitely touch on in today's conversation of how important it is to build your community of people that you can rely on and your friends and your family. That is what got me to Ottawa and working for the federal government. But I soon discovered this incredible opportunity to support more people and communities faster than going into this pursuit of being a politician. And it's thanks to actually the last politician who worked for, Monty Solberg, who in Canada worked for and was the Minister of Human Resources and Social Development Canada, long acronym. But the journey is what got me to what I am doing today and aspiring to do, which is truly to impact our communities, drive philanthropy, but more so for next generation. And I know, Susan, we've spoken about this, but the financial and fiscal leadership and education we need to put. So I am disrupting the banking system and the financial system as one of those incredible innovators in the fintech motion. But it's all because of my government background. And really, the last, I'd say, career move that I had was overseeing and helping look at debt consolidation and our next gen and the job creation that Canada had. And this is going back to, 2007-8. So for me, it was a real eye opener at my late 20s, when I had this full-time job, great salary, that pushed me into what I'm doing today, and where I'm very, very, very passionate. And it combines really nicely with my sport lifestyle as well. So I think it's just been wonderful to be blessed at this stage in my life to be doing everything I'm passionate about and purpose focused, and excited to share more with you today.
Now, that was an amazing recap of your life, but I just need to say, we seem to have missed an entire big section there. Now, how quickly can you go through the fact that you've been an Olympian, an Iron Woman, and yes, not like one of the 7th fastest indoor women's female cyclist in the world.
Well, I always like to say I didn't actually get to go to the Olympics. It was one of those things. I was on the national team. We all have our stories. And so I very much pride myself on saying I've been on 3 separate national teams and competed at international levels. 2004 Olympics were definitely hindsight. That's a whole podcast on its own of journey and what and why also, and again, I did have that great job to fall back on that gave me purpose, but that on its own was definitely a pursuit. And I was very fortunate, again, to kind of turn of events after being with Rowing Canada. I quickly went right into cycling, which obviously, in my early 20s was very, very much in love, and got on to the national team again on a junior development side. So I've had lots of these opportunities in sport, and definitely excelled, and definitely learned a lot from the cycling community and the network on Vancouver Island. As going back to like 2006, 7, there was not a lot of women professional cyclists. Like, this was like the mecca of a lot of mountain bikers were coming out of the woodwork and doing exceptionally well. We had our Alison Sadors in Canada and globally, but it wasn't a paid sport for women, but it was one that I definitely fell in love with. And that was my intro to kind of being uber competitive, and lo and behold, the Ironman stuff. That is a whole story on its own, but yeah, definitely. Ottawa, Susan, let me tell you, when you move to Ottawa, it's a real government. It's like Washington, D.C. in the U.S. It's like it's a beautiful place to live, like great for families, huge outdoor sports. But we didn't have a velodrome, the cycling, a cycling indoors center. And at the same point in time, Ottawa really boasts a really large population of triathletes and runners.
Right.
So I just kind of got absorbed, to be honest, in that triathlon community. So that's how I got into Ironmans. Like, I kind of joke, I can bike really fast, as you know. I'm a pretty damn good runner. And then the swimming was like, swimming
I
can't
know
be
how to
that hard.
swim.
I can swim. So and anybody that's a triathlete listening to this, they totally get it. Even like the professionals were all like, we can all swim. Like, unless you're like a Lucy Charles, who's freaking badass, and shout out to Lucy, because freaking I watch her and I just go, wow, like, she's a dead hardcore swimmer. But I think for me, I just laugh. I'm like, I can survive the swim, and all I can think about the whole time I'm swimming, and when I go back to triathlon, which I will be, it's literally like, just get out of the water, just get out of the water, get to the bike.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But
Yeah.
in saying you just were sort of thrust into it, can you explain the process of then getting into being accepted into the Kona?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Well, I think, okay, so
Because I
in the
understand that was your first try.
exactly. First triathlon, first Ironman. So obviously in the world of triathlon, there's these different distances. If you're watching the Olympic sports, of course, the Olympic distance is a lot shorter than an Ironman, but it's really fast. So for those that are listening and are watching, triathlons have different distances. So you've got your sprint distances, your Olympic, then you've got your halves, and you've got your fulls. Now, in the world of business, there's this incredible organization called Ironman. There are others that are out there, like the Challenge Series, right? That are, again, replica, or long course, which is if you're on a national team. Ironman, again, is a brand.
Right.
I ended up with a network of great, again, community and friends, getting, kind of suckered into this opportunity to, like, oh, you should just do some 70.3s. This is going back to like 2010. So I started, training for 70.3s, having to
70.3, what does that mean?
so
70.3.
so 70.3 is a half Ironman distance, or a half distance.
Okay. Yep.
And so, I got into that and really loved it, was doing exceptionally well, placing often on the podium. And of course, then it just became this opportunity, as close to Ottawa. Mont-Tremblant is this beautiful, beautiful place. It's about a 2.5-hour drive northeast of Ottawa in Quebec. And it's like its own little village. It's its own little world. And Ironman announced that it was going to be doing a full and a half in Mont-Tremblant in 2012. So in 2011, with a group of great people, we figured, great, you know what, let's register for the full. So it was my first full. I put, the time and dedication into it like any pro would. I, was working still full time, but at this stage I had started my first company. I had left government now, and I was working full time on my socks in the school, and we can get into talking about the business side shortly. But yeah, definitely, laced up the shoes, got into the pool, put in those extra miles, and lo and behold, I came out in the top 20 in my first Ironman with a sub 11 hours at that time, and definitely got the roll call to go to Kona. So I didn't go. And the only reason I didn't go to Kona is because it was August, and Kona was 5 weeks later. In Kona, And for me, it was a budget thing. I had the school program starting up with Sock Jock in September,
Right.
and I had to be present. Like I was the only one with one other employee that I had at that time operating a full-fledged program across 3 provinces. So mainly Ontario, but it was big enough that I was kind of like, okay, I had other further responsibilities. So it was a great feat for sure. And oh my gosh, an amazing course. So for triathletes that are out there looking for a challenge, I absolutely loved it. I have gone to Kona, not as a athlete. Maybe it will be on my bucket list. I'll have to like do a shout out and see if Mark or somebody from Sports Stats or somebody in my network will be like, yeah, we'll just give her an executive pass. She can go do it. Because it'd be fun to just go and do it and raise funding for the Ironman Foundation and get out there
Yeah.
and get to Kona as just kind of like that last challenge check mark, which I
Yeah.
love to do those kind of things.
Well, and I love as well. So you said that was 2012. So
Mhm.
that's 10 years ago.
It
And
is.
so, I mean, it's not like you were 22 either. So this is,
No, no.
I guess I just want to, I feel like it's one of these things again, where so often I think we are our own worst enemies, oh, I'm
100%.
too old. Oh, I'm a mom, or, no, I can't do that. I haven't,
Oh, yeah.
we
Oh, and
set the limits
speaking
for
of talking about the
ourselves.
mom, you should say this, Susan, because this is huge for the women listeners, for you. This year alone, not only was the Ironman World Championships won by a mom who has a brand new 18-month-old
No, I did
for
not
the
know that.
first time. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and also for the first time I think in 25 years an American woman. So there you go. And then also we've had Sarah True, another great American, 3-time, I think 3 or 4 times, sorry Sarah if I'm getting this wrong, Olympic athlete. She won the Ironman Arizona just recently, new mom. So there you go. I'm like, age is nothing. I think it
No.
really has to do about you, your purpose, what you're here to do, showing up. And it's not just about getting on the podium, it's about getting on your podium,
Yeah.
period. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well, it's like how you said that it wasn't that I'd only done the 10, because I have to stop myself doing that. It's take the onlys out and just be proud of what you've done, that you
Yep.
showed up and you did it. And, that again, we'll talk about that a bit later. But I
Yeah.
mean, even from what you're saying, you have a big passion for supporting women in sport as well.
Huge passion. Massive passion. Hence why I'm here in California right now, dialing in from a phone booth in one of these incubator spaces. As yeah, I've made this mission now after this incredible opportunity to go and try my best at breaking a record to put my foot forward to create what I'm hoping to be one of the largest endowment funds across North America for girls and women in sport, starting with a feature docu-film series, which I'm very excited to share, obviously, because I'm out here in California and I'll be on my way back to Hollywood or Beverly Hills this forthcoming week. But be working very closely with Pivotal Moments Media Group, which is owned by Robert Morgan. And really, it is called, the title is Perfect Our Podium, breaking records and barriers for girls and women in sport. And
Oh, I love
get ready because
it.
it will start to air, next year at this time in the fall of 2023. You'll start to be able to capture this feature film, hopefully through some of our education programs and our networks, but also on some major networks as well. So very excited times.
Yeah. And why is it so okay? And now I know, but I want to hear it from you as well. Why is it so important, this focus on women and girls? Because I have a teenage boy and he's fabulous, but I feel like a lot of the kids these days don't realize what has come before. They don't realize, they just see that there's a lot of feminist activity, or, oh yeah, why do women need so much?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's obviously it's based on past history and and recourse. For me, it's a passion to be able to give back because I come from a single family home. I only have one sibling, an incredible brother. Shout out to my brother Andrew, because he's definitely been a big part of my life up until, obviously until today, big champion for me and all the crazy stuff that I've done. But I think when I look back now and these incredible stories and conversations, these other incredible women that I have met and men, along the way, there's just definitely been a discourse in the sense of like the access points for women and girls in sport, and how do we make that change and elevate that conversation forward. So whether it be on media exposure, because let's face it, like if you turn on the television tonight, it's Monday night, guess what? Probably Monday Night Football, there's hockey, and
Yeah.
are they females that you're watching? No. Who's getting all the millions and millions of dollars of broadcast rights? Now I get it, like why these athletes have astronomical budgets is because, well, guess what? They've got the media, hence why the brands can pay for it. So I think for a long time, women have just not been given that opportunity by a network and or networks to be able to showcase. And, trust me, I'm pretty sure if we had professional baseball, basketball, hockey of the women's on at the same time in the evenings, on these highlighted evenings, we would show up as a family to watch it. Like I know
Yeah.
more parents, right? So I think for me, there's kind of a two-win-win. I really wanted to see that equal opportunity for women to get the exposure, and the opportunity sport has given me personally for my mental well-being, my personal well-being, my benefit to my body and my mind, but just the people around me has just driven my life into ways that I would want to be able to pay that forward to the next generation, to let them know that they have access to this and that they can go through these similar experiences that I have had. And I really love how sport builds resilience in young women. And that for me is like a key ingredient. And I think oftentimes at that same age as your son, girls fall off the radar on being able to build their confidence and their esteem and build themselves outside of what their looks are,
Yes.
and really start to understand their own grit. And that's what I really want to drive forward. So
Yeah. Yeah. Their own strength inside. I love that. And I think that, because it really is it's a vicious cycle, isn't it? I mean, they're
yeah,
getting paid more because of the media, but the media is doing it because because they're getting the sponsorship.
you're getting the eyeballs.
you've got to break the
Exactly.
cycle somewhere there. So,
Yeah.
and take some strong stands to try and change the dynamic of it. So,
100%.
and that's what this podcast is supposed to be about as well. That's where the dreaming part comes from, because it really is. I just figure we don't need to know. It's not about knowing the answers. It's about having the dream, because
Yeah.
that's the first step, isn't it? You've got to just at least know what you're sort of aiming for.
Exactly. It's like, I want to achieve this. And then it's like building that process to get
That's
there. And
right.
are there others involved?
That's
Exactly.
right. That's right. Now, can you tell me a bit about, now, I must admit, I don't completely understand the fintech part. And, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you explain it to me in very easy to understand terms?
Easy to under.
It's like you're a
Absolutely.
sporting banker. I don't know.
Sporty, exactly. Well, Susan and listeners and viewers, I'm assuming that you have a bank account.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you have a digital bank account? Are you able to use a mobile wallet on your phone
Yes.
or on a wearable?
Yes.
Perfect.
I
Okay.
tap all the time.
I love it. So this is what we call the forward advancement of where everyday financial services are headed, right? Digital, optimized, seamless, at the click of a button. So my company, Tap and Go Technologies, what I started to see, which is interesting, and this is going back to 2015 when I stopped, well, I shouldn't say stopped, when I transferred over, made a pivot from my Socks in the School program that was really, in essence, focused on giving youth the ability to raise awareness and funds for their schools through programs they cared. What I learned through that first business was we set up all these e-commerce shops. So they were little businesses on their own for each one of the schools, and the parents and the teachers got involved. Was that we were losing money or giving more money to the payment processors, the payment gateways, the banks, the credit card issuers, than we were to the causes that the kids cared about. And
Right.
that really resonated across, like at the end of kind of like a school year, we would do a wrap up, a roundtable wrap up with like the teachers and leaders. And year after year, Susan, it was this constant reminder that why are we giving more money away to these third parties than what we're doing? And we already have the customer. It's the parents that are purchasing the socks and the communities that the kids have marketed to. We shouldn't have to pay to get them. We shouldn't have to pay to process this because we already processed it last month. So it was
Right.
just, it kind of, for me, it was really interesting of going, do day-to-day consumers, do we trend and do we purchase from the same places? And the answer is absolutely. If I was to Susan say, hey, give me 30 days of your bank statement and or credit card statements, I guarantee 90% is the same grocery store, same restaurant you and your family like to go to, maybe the movies, your gym membership that
Yeah.
comes out once a month, your utilities. At the end of the day, maybe that little extra money spend that you like to put towards something you really like, right? And what I found was, as humans, we are habitual, but the payments side, the banking side, they're not habitual, because they're not really now, as we move into this modern digital era, they're not thinking about who we are as a customer. They're still outsourcing all of their tools to third parties. So when you think about the payment processors, so when you go into a store like Starbucks, you buy a Starbucks
Yeah.
coffee, right? You take your card out. When you tap that to the terminal or the little POS, right,
Yeah.
that you put your card into, well, that's a third party. And that
Yeah.
third party is charging that small business a certain amount to use that technology to pull money from your bank account. Now, the bank's making money off of that, but also the processor through that third party through the bank. So it's kind of like when I paint the picture to the everyday and to give you an idea of fintech of what I'm simplifying,
Yeah.
is right now when the average person takes out a credit card, let's start with a credit card, the money has to move across 4 fund rails to actually get to the purchase that's making possible happen.
Right. And every one of
Right?
those is taking a little bit out.
You got it. So credit cards 4,
Yep.
debit cards or a direct bank account 3, because they don't have to go outside to the Visa, MasterCard, Amex line.
Right.
So as you're right, so everybody's got to take a little piece of the cookie, right?
Which actually
Well,
means that then your item ends up costing more because they want to make sure they're getting what they want. Yeah.
exactly. And we're starting to see now, which is interesting in the payment space, and this became law in the last 60 days, is that merchants have the ability legally to add an additional fee, should they want, to the customer if they use a credit card. Now, this is new, right? Like I definitely have seen some merchants do it already. Some are
Yeah.
saying, look, it's not worth it. I want our customers to come in.
I've
We're
definitely
willing to
seen
take
that
that.
before. It's like, well, it's like
Yeah.
when, especially with Amex, people say it's extra
Yes.
for Amex or whatever.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Because it's additional fee depending on the Amex card. So
Mhm.
what we've done at Tap and Go Technologies is really truly innovated on putting all of those lines that you learned about, the 403, into
Yeah.
one ecosystem. So I've gone out and got my bank licenses to be able to issue you, Susan, an actual bank product, a digital wallet, specific to a niche that we know people are passionate in. I'm starting with sport and wellness. There's other ones that will come.
Yeah.
But out of that, then creating this market where there's brands and organizations and events that are sport wellness related, so that when you now shop and use your issued card that we have directly with these merchants in the marketplace, we're going to cover the processing fee. We're going to cover all of those lines of fund rails because we've simplified it. We've given you, the customer, the card, we've got the marketplace, and now we've linked it across one rail. So there's no having to go across 3 or 4
Wow.
rails to pay the money. So I always kind of simplified it. It's simple math, right? It's kind of like, okay, well, we just got the equation down to actually owning marketplace, being able to lower the cost for a merchant to acquire a customer.
Yeah.
And then for that, we've asked the merchant to say, what would you share with somebody like Susan to be able to, give back? So that's where, like, Amazon charges 15% to a customer, or sorry, to a merchant when they actually sign in and sign up and have an acquisition take place. So that's usually where we say to the merchant, would you not be willing to share 15% with us when that transaction takes place, when we can show you it took place?
Right.
And we don't charge you a processor fee. So it's a value add for them to be able to do that. And then we share in some of that with our customers, so you can have cash in your pocket to do your next purchase in the community and the ecosystem that you love. So there
So
you
you're
go.
actually trying to lower the prices for us.
Lower the prices, give back. And this is also on the other side for the small business owner as well.
Yeah.
Right? It's a win-win. Like,
Oh,
I
I
look
love
at it as
it.
an equation. So yeah. So that's kind of, and we're very vertical focused. Like when we started building Tap and Go, it wasn't about going into one focused area, where definitely when we first started, it was like, oh, we're just going to go with Athletica rewards, afford the sport you love and lead, built by athletes for athletes. But as I started to go into it and surround myself with mentors and people within the marketplace of technology and innovation, more and more we're saying, why would you just narrow yourself if you're building this incredible, powerful technology that you could actually down the road either license to somebody else who wants to build their own niche vertical, or you want to expand. And we've already seen that, like with the pandemic that came, for us, as we sat down for like 2 years that we didn't think we were all going to be locked down for. And I was supposed to launch with my team our first product into the market with a lot of sporting events. We started to really look at this ability then to support another vertical. And we looked at, believe it or not, you're going to love it, female founders and women in business. So it was that same kind of concept of, where are women in business spending their time and their money? How could we support them? What do they need for financial services? Do they need operational lines of credit, loans? How much access to loans and financing and funding support are they getting today? We know still 3.5% of women are getting investment dollars out of the entire ecosystem to this day.
Yeah.
Right? Where are we missing out on this? So for me, Alexandrite is our second product and program. I love it. Alexandrite, for those women listeners, it's a rare gem, emerald by day, ruby by night, all shades of color.
Oh, I
We're
love it.
exquisite. We're expensive. That's what we are. So I very excited about Alexandrite and talking more about it in International Women's Month in March, and of course dropping it on March the 8th. But that became another passion project of taking this technology that we've built that's an enabler and truly taking that mystification out of the bank system to really educate people on where their money matters and where it makes most sense, so that we can put more money back into their pockets and the businesses where they spend money constantly. So,
well, now normally I'd wait till the end to do this, but I'm going to change things up a bit. How do people find out about this? And first of all, is it only in the US, only in Canada? How can people find out about you? Any of this, if any business owners?
Oh my gosh,
customers.
for sure. Well, this is what's really cool. So we are the first fintech to be licensed across all of North America. We have our bank sponsored licenses across Canada, the US, and going into the later part of 2023 in Mexico. So it truly will be an all North American play. Very, very excited to be able to launch that. You can follow us or check us out at Tap and Go. It's spelled TAPANGO.com. And for sure, Susan can send you all the links.
I will put that on the, bottom there
exactly.
as well.
And I'm approachable, as you know. If people have questions, they can reach out. I'm very direct on my social on LinkedIn, as well as on Instagram, both between my sport and my business. And I've got an incredible PR lead, Lauren Gout, who's going to be helping manage my social moving forward. So yeah, please, any listeners or viewers, if you reach out to Susan and you want more point of contact, I'm here. I'm here to answer. I'm here to have supporters. I'm here to listen to questions and offer educational resources and tools for those that are in need. That's what I'm here to help with.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. And I know you're sporty, smart, beautiful, everything. Whole package. Don't tell me can you sing? Tell me you can't sing.
I can sing.
Oh, what?
So, I can sing, but don't ask me to play piano. The funny thing is I used to play flute. So flute and singing don't go hand in hand, because you have to play it at the same time.
No.
So, but no, I was very fortunate. I grew up singing. I went to a school where we had to do arts and sports at the same time. So I got very involved with the Conservatory of Music in Victoria, as well as a lot of vocal jazz. Definitely played in the sense of lots of musicals and plays in my past. So I belt out a tune or here or there. I'll probably be singing that our Christmas party with the family.
Oh, wow.
Well, you gotta have something. That's more what I'm enjoying at this point in time, is not sweating as much. Susan, I'm enjoying a couple of merry tunes and some good times, but definitely music's been a big part of my life. I enjoy singing, but not as a professional. That's just something I do for fun.
Well, I'm going to get everyone onto your Instagram as well, because I'm going to ask a special request that coming up you put you singing on your Instagram.
Oh God. Okay. I'm up for the challenge for sure. I'll do a Christmas interlude, but my friends will know this. If you give me your birthday, on birthdays, I sing and I send happy birthday notes to everybody privately. And
Wow.
they're sometimes in different languages as well. So it's just a little special. So you can be added to my
Well,
happy birthday
you might be a
seasons.
little bit busy because you're launching what was it called again? Afra, no, the gem on on March 8th. That
Oh, Alexandrite.
Alexandrite.
Alexandrite. Is
But
that your birthday?
my birthday's March 7th.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, this is gonna be easy to remember. I love it. I
So
love it.
I understand if you're a little bit busy though. That's okay.
That's all right. All it takes is a quick second to sing happy birthday. It's easy. I've done it from my parked vehicle for friends before.
Oh
It's the
my
way it goes.
goodness. Oh, I love it. Oh gosh. That was a surprise. Didn't I can't believe you can sing as well. Okay. Now I'm really starting to hate you.
There's things I can't do though. I don't jump out of planes. I can't do cartwheels.
No, I
Most
can't
girls can do
either.
cartwheels.
No.
If anybody wants to see a funny cartwheel, just ask me. I will literally gymnastics and Jonathan Elkenbrock, who's my RMT, but also my trainer who helped me get to this world record. Susan, like honestly, if you ask John, I am a girl that got no jump. Like it's hilarious. Like I can run, I can do anything horizontal, like really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
But the minute you ask me to get any form of air, I might be 5'9", but I'm sorry, it's a scary thing. I'm not a jumper.
Oh, I
So
love it. I love it. Okay. There's something you can't do.
there
I
you go.
love it.
Some things I
Okay.
cannot do.
Okay. Well, now, yeah, normally we go into what your dream for the world would be if you had all the money and power and stuff in the world. But what I'm actually thinking is I wanted to discuss with you a little bit of a different thing because I did want to talk about, New Year's resolutions and stuff. And I guess one of my questions to you was I always say it's important to dream big because dreams are where we get our hope from. For me,
Yeah.
that's, and like I said, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to know the answer, but what's the difference between having a dream and setting a goal?
Hmm. This is a really good question. I like it. And I love that it's coming for everybody that's thinking about January 1st, right around the corner, right?
Hmm.
Um, what is the difference between a dream and a goal? Well, you know what? A dream is something, at least and this is my opinion, right? Everybody can have their own.
Yeah.
A dream is something that I always look at as a vision of something I would love to be able to do and achieve. It has to be written down. I have to see it. It might not be something that's going to happen this year. It might not be something that happens in the next 5 years, but it's almost like, people have said it in before, and you've probably heard this is the bucket list, right? Like, what do you dream to do? What are these things? And I always look at, for me, I laugh. I do share this because it became a huge part of our Socks in the School program. And it still is for me today, a huge tool that I use. Vision boarding is really, really a big part of my life.
Yeah.
My grandma, my mom's mom, huge inspiration to me. And a lot of the reasons of what I do today stems from her and her passion for life and what she and my mom both instilled in me. But journaling slash creating, ironically, an obituary upon my graduation in 2004 from university
Yeah.
really stemmed me to think about what in life, if I were to pass, what people would want to write because this is what I touched them for and or was remembered for. And
Wow.
it's kind of a neat exercise. Like I know, oftentimes when we dealt with kids, Susan, we never said, we never touched on death because it is a very big topic, but we touched on, imagine you're 90 years old and you're looking back on your life and you're trying to think about all these incredible things. What are those pivotal, which is why I love Robert Morgan and Pivotal Moments Media. What are those pivotal moments in your life that truly defined who you were? And really what it comes down to, Susan, is exactly this: reaching those things that you dream to do and then you fulfilled, and that's setting the goal. So there's a distinguished difference. There's dreaming big, there's dreaming small, but there's setting the goals to get to what those dreams are, because nothing happens without failure. And I'll tell everybody that's listening, if you think that getting up every single day and to be what I'm doing today or what you're doing, Susan, is easy, it is not. There has been struggles, there have been tears, there has been sweat, there's been blood, there's been it all. And I just, I think we often see the best in most people on most days, but it's hard. I think
Mm.
nobody can say that. And I don't care whether you're 12 years old, 8 years old, 15 years old, 9 years old, or 43 like myself. We all have our days. And I think that's the differential for setting those dreams and those goals and recognizing the resilience it's going to take for you to get there. But once you get there, just like breaking that record for me on August 26th, and people can watch my Instagram story. I know you saw it, Susan.
Yes.
25th was supposed to be my day, and I pulled up track. This is after years of training, 4 years, 2 years of pandemic, of additional training. And my one day, 30 minutes in, I was done. I tapped out. I went up. I didn't even know I was going to be given an opportunity to come back the next day. I was in tears. Like, my mom was there to support me. My partner, Nick, was there to support me. Like, love them so much. And it was this moment. And, I was like, how did this happen today? And then just this incredible opportunity to come back and do it the next day, because the UCI officials were still there, and give it a second go, and to go out and do it. It goes back to kind of dreaming big, but I had a goal and I was going to do it. Right. And even if I wasn't going to prevail on that day, it was the ability to accomplish the goal that you set out, and that
Yeah.
journey and getting there. So that's why I always kind of say, set your goals, set your limits, understand that you might fail to reach those limits, but at least if you tried and you did absolutely everything you could, that's what true dreaming is. And it's not failure in the end, regardless of the outcome, because you got there.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the big part, right? Like, we're not in Disney World here, everybody, right? Like, absolutely love Disney, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's
Yeah.
not all
It's
fairy
not a fairy
tales,
tale. No.
not a fairy tale, right? And I think oftentimes we teach our younger generations, and we teach ourselves, just like you said, that we teach these dreams, but then we also fail on teaching the fact that dreaming doesn't always end the way that we would have thought it would. But sometimes, I always love it, and this comes from definitely, I'd say, getting a little older and dealing with people that are older, is it's the outset and the ability to look back on what came out of the dreams and that journey getting you there, that I always kind of say that's the inspiration, and that really is the outcome of the goal, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
it's this fabrication of, imagine, all the people you might touch along that small dream that you had, and that goal that you set to accomplish that, or the larger one, just all the other things that you've touched and all the other things that you did to get there, and the learning and leadership that you have that ability. So that's kind of the differentiator for me. I know it's a little bit of a long explanation, but I hope
No.
viewers really fall in love with that.
Yeah.
Because we can dream big, and we can set those, and we can also dream small, and there's no better of the either.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I just really quickly was going to get you just to explain, because we haven't totally explained what this 1 hour was that you were talking about in August. What were you actually trying to do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, for those that are cyclists and those that are not cyclists, I'll give you the non-cyclist view so people can understand it. So there's this incredible, I guess, discipline within the UCI, which is the major international governing body for cycling, Union Cycling International. They're headquartered in Europe. So if you're watching a lot of the pro races, majority of them, obviously, most now would recognize the men's races, but we're going to start to see more women's come out, which is exciting. But your Giro d'Italia, Giro de Rosa, or your Tour de France, that's the same governing body that oversees it. One of the events that's really becoming super popular is the UCI 1 hour. It's 1 hour on the clock. It's on a closed environment, those closed velodromes. Yes, those crazy ones with the really steep embankments.
Totally
And
scary.
yeah, you got to ride the black line. So honestly, you're on the flattest part of the track, and it is, balls to the walls, all out, redlining for an hour to see the distance you can cover over an hour. So it's a sprint, but it's not. So it's really, if you listen to like Sir Bradley Wiggins or some of these incredible athletes that have gone out to defeat these records over the course of the last 20 plus years, or Evie Stevens here in the US, it's incredible to hear their story of the resilience and the fact that they had been incredible elite road cyclists and or track cyclists. But this 1 hour is the beast. It's known as like just the mental grit, the toughness. And I don't know, Susan, I kind of look back now and I go, what the heck was I thinking?
I just don't know how you don't an hour of just going around a circle like that, it would do your head in.
It's Yeah, and you're dealing with, vortex and, the environment, the barometer. I was doing it there's two locations that a lot of records are held in, and there's reason because of the environment, right? You want a very, very minimal air density. You want high quality of airflow, heat. Obviously does a lot of that in altitude. So at high altitude in the middle of Mexico in Aguascalientes is this beautiful indoor cycling track that a lot of records have been broken. And the other one is in Switzerland, where we're seeing a lot more of the records come out of right now. And a lot of the European men and women are doing the attempts there. And I think it helps too from the standpoint, a lot of them are over there as professionals and they're in Europe, so they don't have to travel as far. But that being said, it's been super cool. So for me, I decided in 2017, I'm trying to remember, I literally announced it at an incredible women's event on International Women's Day, the Women's International Business Community, WIBC. Sandra Ticia had me there as a presenter. And I remember it was like the first time I was really nervous and I was talking on stage, and it was the day that I announced, I'm going to put my shoes back on. I'm going to go back to training as a power athlete. I'm going to see if I can change from this Ironman / long distance athlete back into a speed demon, right? Like kind of just to set the record straight that as a mature woman, you could absolutely put your mind to something and accomplish it. And 2017 and 2020 was supposed to be my record. We all know what happened. May 2020 was my set date. March 2020, not even 2 months prior to this incredible attempt, the world shut down. And it was definitely that goal. But yeah, the 1 hour is, for anybody that doesn't know it, please definitely check it out. It's the stories now that are coming out and the feats that are really starting to shine on some of the pro men and women that are doing these attempts. You start to learn the athlete behind it and the mental aptitude that goes into it. I had such a great time, Susan, and honestly, like masters do it as well. I talk about goals and dreams. My dream was to get there. I set the goals. I stuck to those goals. In the pandemic, I set more goals because they had to be extended. The dream was still there, right?
Yes.
It just wasn't happening as soon as we thought it was going to. And the journey, the more now that I look back and I go, wow, what did that do for me during the lockdown is absolutely magical because it kept my mental sanity. I think a lot of people would attest to the fact of, I got into more sport or activity because I needed to. This was just for me an incredible chance to elevate my sport. It gave me more time. It gave more time to my relationship as well, because Nick was able to help me out because we were both at home. So he was doing a lot of the motor pacing that I typically would have been doing with somebody else. And just special moments I look back and go, wow, like I'm forever grateful for these. And the ability to meet some other crazy athletes that were doing record time. Like there was a 72-year-old, like Mary Ellen, shout out to you, girl. And I'm going to send you this podcast because you should be listening to this. She was 72 years old and she broke the 1 hour in her age group. And
no
she
way.
is beast. And she's out of California, lawyer, still active. So when I think about me, I'm like, wow, she inspired me, Susan, and motivated me to realize, man, like she is gung ho, and man, does she have a lot of energy. So go girl, go. I'm like,
I love that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those people though, that are maybe have just been a bit slack or just, have been too busy, have said, I'm just too busy in life. I just can't do it. They're thinking, here comes another year. I'll try it again, whatever. I don't know. What's the advice? I mean, we've spoken about having the dream, having the hope, and the goals are like, for me, goals, it's like you've said, they're like the sense of agency to get you there. But I mean, what happens? You set the goal of I want to lose 10 kilos and, there's a party on the 3rd of January. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So this is my method. Now, obviously there's a lot of personal trainers, nutritionists, mental health coach out there, right? This is what I always say to everybody: incorporate fitness and wellness into your life. Don't limit it, and do not set weight goals. Get out and just do. And that doesn't slow you down from having the fun and the parties, but it's add to your already existing schedule with taking care of yourself. Because guess what? If you don't, showing up to some of those parties in the future is not going to happen. So I always kind of say the best investment we can do into the future is in ourselves, because by doing that, we're only going to be able to reinvest in others. That's including our loved ones, our relationships with our spouses and our loved ones and our family and our kids and our friendships. So it's, I think oftentimes people set too high expectations and too many goals of like, boom, January 1st, I'm going to the gym. It's my first time in 10 years that I've done this. I'm going hard. And they go, and you see, I know you're laughing because you know this. It's like, I see these people. I've seen this. Like they come in, they're giving, or they go to the spin class. Then they go to the body pump class. Then they do the core class. And like 4 hours later, they're still there. And like, they feel really good. And they do that for about 5 days. And they're like, oh my God,
I know.
my life's
Well, I'm thinking like after those 2 days, then all the muscle pain starts to hit, and then they're like, I can't move.
You can't even move. You can't even sit on the toilet seat, let alone like think about walking up the stairs to bed or down the stairs to like, it's just, I get it. Like I see these, I have friends that are in this circle. So I always I'm like, it's all about just doing, it depends on your level, right? So everybody's got goals. And that's what I always kind of say is like, for me, with most of my friends, I try to set that expectation of, look, if you can do something 3 times a week for 30 minutes, and it doesn't have to be hardcore. Like even starting the year, it's like, go for a walk. If you live in winter wonderland, go for a snowshoe, get outside, get the fresh air, get the vitamin D, incorporate something that you think is fun. Right.
Yes.
And so for some people, going to the gym is not what they'd want to do. Right.
Yeah.
So is it tennis? Is it hiking? Is it using their backyard? But I think for us, like I always say to people, it's about pushing your body to something that, it's not the comfortable, but it's not the uncomfortable. It's the challenge.
Yes.
And I think that's where, people sometimes will just go overboard, and it's a long-term initiative. I always say to people, look, if you're in this to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds, you'll lose the 10 pounds, but guess what? You're going to put it right back on because you haven't changed your lifestyle.
Yes.
You've gone and set a goal, you've hit the goal, and now what?
Yeah.
You got to set another goal.
I mean, even just listening to you, hopefully everyone can tell that, I mean, fitness is not just about your body either. The thing that matters most is your mind. That's right. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, because it's a mental game.
It's a mental. It's honestly, I always say to people, especially as you get older, and this is really interesting, and we have a choice, right? And the biggest thing we can choose is what we stick into our bodies. So I'm like I always make this reference to a lot of people. We love high performance cars. They're beautiful to look at. They run great, but guess what? They run on optimal gas. They need to have their engine checked. You got to take care of them to make them run optimally. And well, guess what? If you don't do the tune-ups, if you don't put the optimal gas in, that car is not going to beautifully run and perform for you. So it's the same thing with our bodies, right? As we age, what we put into our mouths to feed ourselves, our system filters all of that, right? Like it cleans it, it makes sure you get the right carbs, the sugars, the fats, like all the process. And let's face it, like there's a ton of garbage even in the food that we think is good for us today.
Yeah.
So our body has to synthesize that, expel of it. So I always go, check in with your engine, right? Like, again, going to that party on the 3rd of January, maybe instead of having half a bottle of wine or a bottle of wine or taking like the alcohol, maybe go and have a non-alcoholic beverage night. Go and have some, cut the booze out or just have a glass of wine. So it's kind of making smart, conscious decisions. Like I go to a lot of events, especially at this time of year.
Yeah.
And I very much am applauding that there's the fact that there's these non-alcoholic gin and vodka companies coming out, that there's a huge kick towards, like let's make sure that there's 50% vegetables and healthy produce and foods out on the charcuterie boards and on the tables at our shared meals. Because again, it's just encouraging that healthy wellness. And I think that's where, we do have the control of what we kind of put into our mouths. It's not all about, going out and running half marathons to burn the calories. I think it's a balance of both, right? And that is your mental strength and aptitude to be able to kind of think about, falling in love with healthy eating. And I honestly, Susan, I think I'm pretty fortunate because I grew up with a family that cooking at home and eating well was a big part of our life. And I'm so grateful for growing up in that environment, because for me, chopping up vegetables is a part of my daily routine. And I know it's not a part of like 95% of any of my friends. I consider all the time I'm going, take your Sunday afternoon, chop up a bunch of vegetables and pre-make your salads and stuff. So it's just easy to grab. So instead of a chocolate bar, you're pulling out the hummus and the vegetables,
Yeah.
right? Like, having a chocolate bar is not a bad thing. It's a treat. It's
Yeah.
not a daily thing. You don't need to have that daily thing. So
Yeah. And
like,
sometimes if you do have it and then you're like, kicking yourself for doing it, it's just getting you into that negative cycle.
negative
And
space. Yeah.
I will put my hand up to say that since I've lived here, I go to the markets most every Saturday. And so I do try and get my fresh veggies in. But I'm
Right.
that person, I'm a mom of three, and I break out the frozen bag of vegetables because I know,
Oh
what?
gosh.
They're still veggies. They're
There's
still,
still veggies and they're just as good. And you know
that's
what? You can
right.
steam. Absolutely. From a nutrient content, you can get as much out, like some from frozen broccoli by putting it into the steamer. You're not
That's
going to
it.
get much different from if you steam your fresh broccoli that you're getting.
That's
The
it.
quality's
So,
still there.
and I think that as well, maybe sometimes people forget that no matter how fit you are, no matter how much well, it's like your story of the going for the world record and pulling
Yeah.
out that first day, no, just because you're as fit as you are, it doesn't mean you're not going to fail sometimes, make mistakes, it doesn't mean that you don't get sore. And I mean, I train 4 times a week, but
Awesome.
I'll tell you what, pretty much it gets to the end of every week and I am so sore. there is there's
You
no,
are training with Pauline though. So
I
I know this.
I
You can't
know,
go wrong with.
I know, but I'm like, do I ever stop hurting? And
Yeah. Is it going to ever feel good? Yeah. No,
yeah, no,
exactly.
it's like, but in my mind, I'm like, it's good pain. And as Pauline says, you got to pay to look sexy. It's the price
You
to
gotta
look
pay the
sexy.
time. She's like, you can tell Pauline I say hi, and definitely for any viewers, Pauline is a former Olympic athlete, an incredible woman down from the Bahamas, very fast woman. But yeah, definitely. I think yeah, Susan. I think for everybody, again, like it goes to those goals, and it's not feeling bad. Like food is a big part of culture all over the
Yes,
world,
yes.
right? So food and exercise and well-being, like we all need to take our part in doing that for ourselves
Yeah.
and being conscientious, if I can get the word out,
Yeah.
conscientious of the fact of like what is in our surroundings and what can we do. And same thing like when it comes to party times, especially around this time of year and going into January, which obviously in the first week of January there's still lots of good parties and food, is kind of like not feeling that guilt. And I think that's the biggest thing is like don't feel guilty. Like
Yeah.
trust me, you're a normal person and you're allowed to celebrate and go and have that piece of cake and go and do those things. I think it's just a balance, and that's where it's again encouraging healthy living and wellness is not a 1-year goal. It is a lifetime goal.
Yeah.
If you make that choice to do it for 2023, this means that you're making that choice not just for 2023, that you're making this choice as a continuum in your life. And it will become a part of your habitual pattern in life,
Yes.
and a part of who also your friends will see this, your children will see this, your community will see this. And that's all of a sudden, I think for myself, like, look, like we met at the Run for Pompeii in the Bahamas. That's a sporting event and it's a
Yeah.
fun sporting event. And of course, now I've encouraged a bunch of women in my life that next year we're going to use it as a fun getaway and a vacation, but they're going to start to train to do the 10K or the half marathon months beforehand as a
Yes.
part of their goal for their year. But they're
Yes.
going to continue to do other things. So I think it's just, having fun and being able to capture the other people in your life that would encourage and also be a part of those goals that you want to. That becomes a
Yes.
big part of it.
Make it fun. Make it fun. Make it part of your life. I know it shouldn't be like, oh, I'm on a diet. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to get up. That's it. For me, it's like my girl time. Yes, I get up
Yeah,
at 4:30 in the morning, but it's my girl time. And that's a special time for me. So
exactly.
I love
Nobody else
it.
is going to bug you.
I know. That's it. You got to do what you got to do. Okay. So I completely forgot at the beginning. So now I'm going to change it up again and say,
Okay.
how are you checking out,
Oh,
Angela?
How am I checking in? What is this check-in accountability
Yeah.
measure?
Now how you're
Um,
checking out, how you're checking out, how you're feeling now.
yeah. I am feeling so let's put it this way. I check in on a daily basis. It's almost something I do for the first 5 minutes of awareness. That's just me. So
So you do
I
it with
call it my
yourself.
yeah, with myself, right? So it's a way that I like to start the days. Oftentimes, I think the days, as you mentioned, like 4:30, it's your time, nobody else is bugging you. So I never look at my phone for the first few minutes. I always, other than if the alarm needs to be set, if it is a very early morning, but I make it a point to be cognizantly aware while I'm waking up and allowing my body those moments to really understand why I'm here, why I'm grateful, what are and who are that I'm talking to today. Like oftentimes like it's a mental checkpoint of remembrance and reflection of who I'm having good conversations with. And I think it just prepares my body and my mind to be present because oftentimes I think we lose ourselves in the presence. And that's checking in for me is really that ability to say, I'm Angela. This is who I am today. This is why I'm here. This is the purpose that I'm here for. And this is what I
Wow.
want to drive forward. And it keeps me accountable to my value proposition in life. Right. And I think that's where I'm really rooting myself because I think oftentimes there's so much opportunity out there now that we can get pulled in all sorts of directions that for me checking in and becoming aware again of like this is my path and this is what I've got to do to stay the course to get to the goals I've outlined. So me personally, today's a great day. I'm pretty pumped. Obviously, I started my day with a workout, bright and early. Alarm went off, and I am on the Pacific Coast, so I'm 3 hours behind. So it was hard not to look at my phone, to be honest, this morning, because of course at like 6 o'clock, it's already 9 o'clock Eastern.
And I
So
might have
it's
sent a few messages already.
yeah, that's all right. I was done. But yeah, no, I, definitely got up, got my workout in, focused on that day, got the good body pump going, body flow, I should say, in my sense with my blood. It was a leg day. It was really good. But that being said, I think for me, yeah, just checking in today has been really awesome. And I'm excited for myself, for the listeners and the viewers for 2023, because right now, for the first time in a very long time, I am not pursuing in the sense of like any incredible world records. I'm pursuing a change in my life to focus on my business and potentially starting a family with my loved one. And that's a very different switch. And I think that's going to be a really neat topic to talk about to women in business and female founders, because
Yes.
I know as an entrepreneur, having a child, we don't get the same support as if having a career. So I'm excited, but I'm also scared, and I'll be leaning on friends and viewers and people in my network to help me support through this next journey in my life, which is a part of that vision board. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. Oh, my goodness. And well, do you know what? How about I think that's maybe you've set me my challenge to myself. And maybe it's a challenge to our listeners because for me, I guess I feel like your check-in is an integral part of then being able to set those goals and reminding yourself of what those goals are and who you are, who you want to be each day. So maybe that would be a challenge. That's the challenge that I'm setting for everyone to start their day with a self check-in. I love that.
Yeah, self check-in, 5 minutes max. That's all you need.
Yeah.
A
Don't
little
don't
little
hit the
rule for
phone first. Don't look at the phone first. And it's
yeah.
okay, isn't it? I mean, I've had a few low days. So it's okay though. I have to keep reminding myself that it's okay to wake up and be, no, I'm not mega chirpy self today. That's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a
Absolutely.
reason. There's a reason for it. Something else is going to come out of it. But hey, this is my goal for the day. This is who I am. This is who I hope to show the world today. So I
Bingo.
love that. Thank you so much for that idea.
You're welcome. No problem. Glad to share.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for your time today, Angela. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I'll put down all of the different ways that everyone can find you on
Perfect.
social media and contact you as well. And I look forward to finding out more about everything as it as it happens.
Unfolds. And don't forget, March 7th, you'll be receiving a birthday singing, a
Ah,
singing song for birthday. I think I'm going to start a trend here. I might have to be a TikTok account.
I know. Well, and I know, but I'm not on well, I am on TikTok, but I don't really know how to use it.
I'll
But
do it on, yeah, maybe it will be Instagram seems, well, I'll have to follow the social medias. It might be TikTok for certain people,
yes,
Instagram for others.
yes.
Can do it on both. Lauren can help me with this.
But I'm totally going to be looking out for your singing message, and I'm going to know that it was because I set the challenge. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Angela. Remember, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Let's spread Angela's story, and because these are women who we need to be supporting and showing off to the world. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will speak to you soon.